or 20 the next day. It was just like horrible on your psychology. So that was the number one reason. So if you don't
And you
like where
get
you are,
sick. And
yeah,
you
you're
get sick too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get this, the meeting started today, guys. I want to talk to you guys about something today that I think we're all going to benefit from. We're all going to learn something because we all have different perspectives. So we're starting a new year. So with every new year, we have new trends. And with this year's no exception. But before we get started, let me define what a trend is. So a trend is a general direction in which something is developing or changing. So for instance, we saw the big trend after the pandemic first hit, where people were relocating. Right? That was the big trend, relocation, relocation, relocation. That was like the number one thing people were looking for, moving out of the cities into the suburbs, into the country, into somewhere where it's more affordable. And that trend is still going strong. But every year, things tend to change just a little bit more. So I'm going to kind of give you the trends that are appearing right now, according to a news article that I'm going to share with you guys today. But I want you to also think of a trend that you think may not be so obvious. And I want you guys to share that with us later on today in the meeting, because I want to see different perspectives from different people in different areas of what we might be seeing, or what might be some undertones of 2022 that are going to be more prevalent and more noticeable later on this year. So with that being said, let me go ahead and share this article that I actually was looking at that I wanted to show you guys. Let me share it. Okay, so 2020.
Are these nationwide trends according to this article?
Yeah, I mean, when you read these articles, they're never specific to a local town or area. It's more broad based. But I'd love to hear what you guys, because one thing I've noticed is that in certain markets, they're kind of like a leader, or they're kind of like the canary in the coal mine. They kind of give you a heads up of what's about to happen in the rest of the country. So I know that the West Coast has always been kind of that, like whatever happens on the West Coast trickles over this way. I don't know if you guys remember or were a participant in the housing crash in 2008, but that housing crash started in California and moved over this way. And we all got hit, obviously, by it, but it's kind of like a contagion. But I'm going to share with you right now what is on the horizon, according to the author of this article. And I actually looked at a couple of different articles, and I saw a lot of the same type of points being brought up. So I kind of want to share this with you to kind of put this on your perspective, and then we'll see if there's something else that we can learn from each other more locally, or maybe something that you guys think will become a broad-based thing as well. So 2022 housing trends, the real estate frenzy is expected to ease. I sure hope so, because it's literally demoralizing. Is that a good word, guys? Demoralizing to be running around with a buyer right now? Yes. Is it almost better to stay home?
Very discouraging.
It is very paralyzing not to have the inventory.
It almost makes you question your career. It's sad, but
100%, 100%.
But let me just tell you this much: for those of you who have maybe never experienced another market, there is such thing as what's called a healthy real estate market, healthy inventory, and healthy inventory is 6 months of supply. In some areas in Florida, there are 15 days supply. There's literally no supply. So any number that people slap on a listing, it sells. And right now, getting listings has never been so hard as it's ever been, and ever that I remember in history, because agents know that if you don't have a listing, you're really not making any money right now. So
Yes.
Going after listings, prospecting, it's harder now than it's ever been. So yeah, we're literally going an uphill battle. But let's see what the author of this article can kind of share with us. So first thing is that mortgage rates will rise. All right, this is the second article that I've seen that has basically the same thing about mortgage rates. So mortgage interest rates reached an all-time low in early 2021, with new 30-year fixed loans averaging less than 3% in some weeks. Bankrate has a full analysis of what to expect from mortgage rates this year, but the key thing to know is that those record lows are almost certainly behind us. Okay, so rising interest rates are, to me, I think, a necessary evil. I'm not sure how you guys feel about it, but I think it's a necessary thing. First, because it's going to decrease the amount of people who are going to qualify for homes, and it's going to allow home prices to maybe start to level off, because the higher the interest rates go, the lower the prices of homes tend to perform, as long as we have enough supply, because that's another thing, supply. It's not just interest rates, it's so many different things that contribute to the pricing of homes. you have supply, you've got mortgage products, you've got mortgage interest rates. Because you guys remember when you had, back in 2008, we had mortgages where you didn't even need to have a job to buy a house. All you needed was a 600 credit score, in some cases a 550, 520 credit score, and you could buy a house with no money down. Of course, those programs and products would make your home worth more money because anyone could qualify. But those products are gone. So now we just have obviously people who can afford them. So now interest rates are more important than ever because the mortgage programs don't exist to inflate home prices artificially. Now it's really just down to basically the laws of finance, where the more you pay for something, when the more you pay for financing, the lower things cost. Now, the other problem is that there's such an abundance in cash because everyone's selling their home for so much money. Everyone is getting so much money for their assets right now that there's so much money floating around that, you know, these people who are cash heavy have to we have to rinse them out. They have to kind of like go through the process of buying their homes. So that way we can go back to financing. You know, that's usually the way things have been done. Well, let's continue reading this article and see what else they say. Mortgage rates are expected to slightly move up to an average of about 3.5%. Let's see. With research, okay. And while this means refinancing opportunities for existing homeowners may dwindle in the new year, borrowing will still be affordable for most new buyers. That is still low by historical standards. Mortgage rates were hovering around 4% prior to the pandemic. Okay, so even though 3.5% is half a percentage point more than what people were used to in 2021, it's still lower than the historical average. And I know Christopher's been in business for a long time. I know a few of us have been in business for a long time. I remember when, if you were a perfect vanilla borrower with perfect everything, you were getting a 6.5% interest rate. Like, that was good. I know some people who bought homes in the 80s telling me that 18% was normal, 15% was normal. You know, like, those interest rates obviously are catastrophic in today's market. If we doubled the interest rate prices right now for loans, we'll literally have a housing crash. Now, is that possible? Yeah, everything is possible. And if you guys have been paying attention, and I'll leave my trend to last, and we'll speak about my trend last, but everything's on the table. Nothing is impossible. And in my opinion, maybe a crash may be what we need, maybe what we need in order to bring back inventory to the market, but we'll see about that. So what do you guys think about interest rates? Have you been hearing about interest rates going up? Have your borrowers been kind of complaining that they're paying more now for interest rates than they were last month or last year? And, you know, they're complaining because they haven't been able to find a house, and it keeps getting more expensive to them to find a house. Not only do they have to offer more, but their financing is getting more expensive. Anyone come across any of those uncomfortable conversations yet?
No, they still want to buy a house.
They want to buy. Nobody cares about the extra 0.5%.
No.
Yeah, I just closed on my deal Friday and was surprised that we got locked into a price at 2.77.
Oh, nice.
So
Wow.
I can't say that the interest rate is really bothering anybody other than what the news is saying is trying to scare new buyers, but then they still just want to buy a house. They don't even care.
Okay. Well, this year we have expected 3 to 4% expected rate hikes from the Federal Reserve. So it'll be interesting how that kind of works its way into the bonds, because that's what our mortgage rates are based off, is the 10-year bond. So we'll see how all that plays out this year, but anything is possible. All right, let's continue reading. Smoother supply chains mean more home sale listings. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this term, but supply chain issues are basically, it's like an assembly line for everything. So supply chains mean, like, if I want to build a house, I need the lumber, I need the copper, I need the cinder blocks, I need the wiring, I need all of these things for my house. But there are severe, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, I know how I feel about it, but there are severe blockages and shortages of a lot of raw materials. And there's also problems with transporting those raw materials all over the world in order to be able to produce, manufacture homes, iPhones, Teslas, anything you could think of that requires components. Everyone has been complaining. All the earnings reports have been coming out the last few weeks now. Every single manufacturing company or a company that sells a product the CEOs have all come out stating that we're facing supply chain issues. Everyone is facing supply chain issues, but supposedly smoother days are coming, according to this article. Here it says that part of the reason why a hyper-competitive pandemic housing market was builders struggling to get materials as global supply chains slowed. That meant that new built homes were slow to come on market, which was compounded by hesitance on the part of the existing homeowners to list during lockdowns. We still have historically low inventory levels because things are selling faster than we can keep pace, said Jim Naper, CEO, principal broker of Naper Realtors, ERA. So yeah, I mean, compounded, if you think about it, housing shortage because of all these lockdowns. I mean, because nobody wants to show their house, right? Everyone's scared to show their house. And that happened, that went on for like, in certain markets, I still get people who say they don't want to show it because somebody is sick, or you got to wear this, you got to wear that. Like it's a little bit weird. But I remember when the pandemic first hit, it was like a good month before anyone even wanted people in the house. And then after that, it was very sporadic. If it wasn't the buyers that were scared to go out, it was the sellers that were scared to show the house. And then compounded with that, all of these companies shutting down and not being able to produce enough materials to build homes, we're seeing the effects of that. You know, and this obviously towards the tail end of last year and this year, we're seeing the effects of all of that. So that, according to this article, is starting to kind of dissipate and start to get back on track. But let's continue reading and see what they say. Assuming the worst days of the pandemic are behind us, home inventories should start growing in the year ahead. Barring any major resurgence in a pandemic that could lead to closing of manufacturing plants, we expect supply chain issues to ease in 2022. That will start bringing more rooftops to market, which will hopefully get things help things a little bit. Sorry. Aside from newly built homes, existing homeowners should feel more comfortable listing their properties if the pandemic remains relatively well managed. All right. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I did a presentation in 2019. I did a presentation about the housing market, and one of the things that I spoke about at that event was that there's a looming crash, and the reason why is because we're overdue. We were 10 years plus since we've had a housing correction or market correction, period, you know, broader based market. We hadn't had a market correction in over 10 years. And historically, every 7 to 10 years, we have either a recession or we have a major downturn in the economy due to a black swan event. We have something. Okay. You guys ever seen the movie Final Destination? You guys remember that movie?
Yes, yes.
Remember in Final Destination how the people would escape being killed?
But it'll follow them.
And it would follow them until they got killed, right? Later
Yes.
on in the movie, they get killed. Well, the
Yes.
same thing is happening right now with what we've pushed off. We've pushed off the recession that we needed. We pushed off the housing crash that we needed. We've pushed off everything. And now I feel like the chickens are here. I feel like it's time to pay the piper. And we're going to see that. I feel like in my heart of heart that we're probably starting to feel that now. Because of inflation and a lot of different things, I think we're going to get some really choppy waters ahead of us. So with all of that being said, I do think that the housing inventory levels were understocked back then. Because one of the points that I made during that presentation was that we have had a really big growth in families. There's a lot of people that are coming into the housing market, but the housing inventory wasn't catching up, and that was prior to the pandemic. I did the statistics on it. I'll look it up maybe for next week. But I did the research and found that we were actually at a shortage in 2019. So compounded with that already looming shortage that we had, because a lot of home builders, they were skeptical about building years prior to the pandemic because they all knew we were due for a correction. You guys understand? And
Yes.
so, and now that we got this huge, and when we got the pandemic, do you think home builders during the month of the pandemic and the months leading up to the pandemic were like, oh, we got to go out there and buy tracts of land so we could build homes? Of course not. They were all worried that they weren't going to be able to sell the ones they already had. So
Right.
they got a late start. They probably only started thinking about building after the pandemic started to kind of like fade and people were starting to see that there was a major housing shortage. and home prices were like going through the roof, that must have been like three months after the pandemic actually kind of started to fade away. So imagine they only really got started building towards the tail end of 2020, in my opinion. So they haven't caught up, nor will they catch up. And due to these supply chain issues, I don't know how much longer this is going to take, in order for this thing to really kind of like calm down. It could take another year, 2 years, 3 years for it to normalize from supply to demand. And that type of, if you look at it from that aspect, supply and demand, it could take a little bit longer unless we get a really big push from a bad economy where people are just like, you know what, maybe it was God's idea that I didn't get a house because the market's crashing. I'll just wait, because that could happen. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, thank God I didn't get that house. I'm lucky that I didn't buy a house last year because, oh my God, the market's crashing. And then when people start to see the market crashing, it's starting to happen now in the stock market, at least, people are going to say, maybe I should wait, which means that more inventory is automatically going to be on the market because there's less demand. So that automatically the supply is there. And if we start to see that, home builders are going to do what? They're going to start slowing down again. They're not going to keep buying if they see that there's issues with supply chain on top of fears in the market going into a recession. It's crazy. There's so many moving parts, and I could be completely wrong, and I hope I am. I hope we normalize in a healthy way and nobody feels any pain. But normally that's not how how real estate markets and how the markets work. There has to be a flush out. There has to be a correction. A swift is better than slow bleeds, in my opinion. But there has to be some corrections in order for us to kind of normalize. Because when you skew too much to one direction, things have to come back. It's like a rubber band. You can't just go in one direction for too long. You have to normalize. So let's go ahead and continue with that. But before I move on to the next kind of prophecy or kind of thing that we have here on the horizon, has anyone seen any issues? Are you guys working with any new constructions, or are you guys working with any investors who are kind of like complaining that, you know what, I should have never bought a house during this time to renovate or to build because it's impossible to get materials? Are you guys seeing that?
No, the investors are still out there looking.
They're still looking. Okay.
They're still looking, yeah. And I don't know, do you remember Piscataway, the town of Piscataway?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so there is only one home right now. It's listed for $195. I have 5 buyers from my own buyers that want to go bid on that house. So can you imagine how many other buyers want to bid on it?
Oh yeah, you're gonna have 100 offers on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is anyone renovating a house right now, or is anyone close to someone who's renovating a house right now?
I'm building a house and to just put on the market list and sell. And the builder is having serious problems with this supply chain issue. It has already pushed me back 2 months from when it should have closed. And he assured me that by the end of January, we would have had an open house. I'll be lucky if I have that house to be ready for an open house by the end of February. It's all supply and it's all contractors. Everybody's got a lot of excuses. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brent is in Sarasota. I think that house is in Ocala. Trina is in Oklahoma. She's saying that her investors and sellers are having major delays. She says she's remodeling her personal home and windows and glass are all delayed. I have a client right now that's buying a new construction. We're supposed to close in October, and we're hoping that we can close next month. Like it's serious delays everywhere. And these are guys, I'm telling you right now, the builder who's building the house for my client, these are guys that have it down to a science. Like they build homes in 3 months and their homes are done. And these guys can't even, he said, this is what he told me. Not only are we having supply problems, he's like, I got to pay guys twice as much as they were getting paid before. And then I still have to pray that they show up because there's so much of demand for labor on top of the supply chain. So have you guys tried to get a contractor to work on your homes or a handyman? And they're all busy right now. They're all super busy.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Those prices.
I think maybe everybody's just giving their stuff to Georgia, honestly, because I got subdivisions, townhomes, It's even so booming that for my area, and I told you guys this before, that our cities don't want to do anything more with housing projects, that they have now condemned 15 of those big units and putting up townhomes for seniors. We got more assisted living and senior active adult communities popping up, and they're coming up and building fast. We have no delays on new builds here in Georgia.
Wow. Hey, that's good. I mean, if they've got it, that's great. They're probably storing all the supplies somewhere in a warehouse for Georgia.
You know, Belinda, the Bible says that if you have two, you're supposed to give one away. So you better start sharing with us.
Mhm.
I'm trying, but that video that I did got everybody coming my way. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
There you go. Good for you.
Problem. All right. So this,
Louis, can I say
That's
something?
a
Yeah,
good
please.
problem to have, Belinda.
Louis,
please do,
can I say
Tara.
something?
Go for it.
Yeah, so I agree with you 100% on everything, like the delay of the material, the supplies, even not having enough staffs to work.
Mhm.
But also, we're not gonna forget about it takes time to build a home as well, so that also adds to the delay. So to import furnitures or the Teslas, it's easy. Like once that supplies starts to come in, the supplies come in. But to build a house, that it's gonna need few months on top of all the shortage.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an easy, even in a perfect world, building a house is difficult. You know, especially when you're dealing with crazy inspectors and contractors who show up only when they feel like it. It's always been an issue.
The weather too.
Yeah, the weather. Absolutely. All right, so let's move on. This one I think you guys are going to like. Price stability and less home buyer competition. Let's keep our fingers crossed for that. Okay, let's see here. The intensity that has characterized the real estate market recently should ebb this year, giving would-be buyers a better shot at making it to closing, while sellers should have a little less opportunity to get their adrenaline pumping. All right, so hopefully our sellers didn't get too spoiled these last couple of years. As more listings hit the MLS, the market should be a little gentler on buyers. I really do hope so. Prices will start to moderate according to Napier. I'm not sure who that is. I think it's a broker somewhere. I don't think any industry can sustain double-digit price increases year over year. Yeah, that's not a normal thing. The moderation may help offset rising mortgage rates too. Corrigan? Okay, Corrigan, I guess is somebody. Predicted that home prices should grow by around 5% in 2022, down from 15 to 20% in 2021. She pointed out that prices rose by slightly less than 5% in the years prior to the pandemic. So a more normal pattern seems to be in the wings. That's good for sellers because it means they likely hold on to their equity gains, but it may require some recalculation when it comes to weighing offers. All right, so do you guys think that we're going to get some kind of a normalization in home prices this year? I mean, I hope so. Or competition at least. Let's see here. Say it again.
I was reading an article by NAR, and they
Yeah.
were saying that we will see some kind of adjusting June 2022.
Yeah.
But who knows, right? That was before the Omicron, and there is now the flu bird virus.
Oh my God, seriously? Yeah. Well, listen, I've read articles like this before, and in many years past, and they don't always, these things they're not predictions, they're not set in stone. These things could change. We're just, for us, this is just hopeful, hopium, I guess you would call it, or wishful thinking. Let me read here a message from Tabby. Tabby says, great topic. I was looking forward to today's meeting as Chris Leva brought up the buyer's agreement and he would present his presentation to share with us all how he asked for 3.5% and makes sense of it all. So, yeah. Chris,
sorry, that was to you directly because it wasn't about exactly what we're speaking on, but
that's fine. Yeah, you brought that up last week. I forgot about it. I'm not sure if Chris could maybe kind of go over that with us towards the end of the meeting, and we'll just cover his last couple of topics, and we'll shift topics over to that. Okay, shifting homebuyer preferences. I'm not really too sure about this. Some pandemic trends are here to stay, however. Newly flexible work arrangements for many are changing what people look for in a home. The opportunity to work from home will be a main driver Less expensive areas in the Sun Belt will perform better than the more expensive markets. And it's not geographical preferences that have shifted. Working from home means buyers are looking for different layouts than they were before the pandemic. A lot of people are shifting away from the open concept because noise carries more easily between
Yes.
rooms without doors when a whole family is working from home. Wow, I didn't know
Yes.
that. What do you
Yes,
guys- what do
I
you guys
see
know?
that Westfield, New Jersey, Clark, Metuchen, all these new flips that I've been to,
Uh-huh.
they're getting away from the new open concept right now.
They are?
Yes, the complaint are when the mom cooks, the scent of the food is all over the house. Kids are the kids when they have the shutdown from school, they're actually sitting on the dining room table doing their schoolwork. It's a lot of noise because if you're sitting in the living room watching TV, then they can hear the dad when he's working from home, he's also sitting on the dining room table. And then the mom has the water running in the kitchen. The kids are watching TV or playing in the living room. So all these new flips that I've been to, they went back to the formal dining room. The kitchen is closed up. And yeah,
Really?
yes.
Interesting. I actually, I'm in my master bedroom right now. I had to bring my desk up because I have a two-story living room, which is an open concept into the dining area. So I'm closing off the dining area and putting doors from the foyer into my two-story living room to create an office slash library for that same reason. I was down there and, it's open to the dining room, open to the kitchen, open to the foyer. I got, 20-foot, 15-foot ceilings. And the noise when everybody's home and I'm trying to work at home, I'm like, no, I got to remodel this.
Yep,
It doesn't work.
that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
Um,
Also, I do have some Asian clients. They don't like it when when you open the front door and then
Yeah.
your stove is exposed, right? Somebody agrees
Yeah.
with me?
No,
Yeah,
I
they don't.
agree. Yeah.
Yes, they don't like the water to be showing, the water faucet. They don't like
No.
when the back door is facing the front door. This is, to them, this is all energy that's escaping the house. You're
Yeah. Feng
exposing your
shui.
wealth. Yes, you're exposing your wealth, you're exposing your health. They don't like that. Even if the stairs is facing the front door, they don't like
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
bad luck.
No, it is.
yeah, all the Georgia new bills, and you can look that up. And even in that last episode of Rock the Block from HGTV was done here in Georgia, and you will notice that everyone had to build with an office. There is no more need for a formal dining room or a formal living room.
Yeah. So I just pulled up I just pulled up a $2 million house in Westfield to see if that's correct. So we've got a kitchen with an informal dining room, just like Belinda said. We've got the family room that's closed off. It has maybe here it looks like it possibly will have sliders or French doors. The dining room here is separate from the kitchen. It's not the same thing. It's not like open. And you have an office here. Obviously, the office is important. You have that here away from everybody else. So I can see how it's a little different now.
Yeah,
Normally, this thing would have been like one open area.
that's true.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's good to hear. I mean, that things are changing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day. All right. So let's go back to this advice for buyers and sellers. No matter the market conditions, the basic advice for people looking to buy or sell remains the same. It's important in this market to be prepared. Get with your realtor. Obviously, you guys know that. You guys are the best thing that in the whole transaction. Having a knowledgeable agent, yeah, this is just something. Okay, the bottom line. This year should feel a little more normal to experienced real estate shoppers, or noticeably calmer if you're only experienced the pandemic market so far. Let's see. Corotun said she advises people not to worry too much about what the experts are saying in any year, though, and instead to focus on their own situation and needs. If you have a down payment right now and you think that you are in a stage of your life where it is time for you to buy a home, then buy a home. That's great advice. The sooner you buy a home, the
100%.
sooner you start reaping home equity gains. We will see higher interest rates in 2023 compared to 2022. So it is better to buy a home in 2022. I mean, that's obviously anyone's, it depends on what people think about that. But yeah, so before we move over to Chris, let me just ask you guys, obviously, does anyone here have a trend that they think is going to be impactful or meaningful to our real estate market in 2022?
I don't know if it's a trend or not, but most of the listings that I'm seeing right now, they want you to waive the inspection completely. So you go do the inspection just for the buyer's informational. That's it. And
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous because we're already waiving our right to renegotiate the appraisal. We already waiving all the minor issues inspection, and now they want the whole inspection to be waived completely. They expect you to pay over asking and give up your firstborn for them to say yes.
That's true.
It's really bad, Lewis. It's really, really bad.
Sometimes that's not enough. I recently had so I've been going back and forth with this one agent. It hasn't been going good, but that's totally a trend. We waived home inspection, septic inspection when we know there's a 20K inspection or septic problem. But the reason we did it is because my client has been in construction for 20 years. He had his home inspector give it like a once over with the drone. And so he said, okay, we'll offer you this amount, no inspections. They were like, no, we want $75,000 more than you offer. And we also want to waive the mortgage. And I'm like, it's so
I
silly
can't
because we're putting
participate in that.
25% deposit. We're putting $175,000 down and they still want us to waive the mortgage, even though you know it's going to appraise. So it doesn't even make sense, the things that certain people are asking for. There's a lot of ways you can work it to where the mortgage will go through. And for this particular home already appraised, then they still want us to just waive everything just because it makes them feel better or something.
Yeah, I'm hearing that from everyone, that you got to waive inspections, waive appraisals. Yeah, if they're even going to accept a financed offer.
I hate sellers.
Yeah,
I'm a
I
buyer's
am not
agent.
experiencing that at all. I'm sorry, you guys. Sorry you got to do that.
She keeps rubbing everything in our face, the weather, our buyers.
You know what? Maybe I could say it this way. Maybe it is a good old boy network that will not allow that kind of stuff to go through. They're just not having it. We're going to have inspections. We're going to have appraisals. There is no 75,000 over asking price. They're going to do it right. Nobody's trying to hear that.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Now, obviously, right now we're bashing sellers and listing agents, but I will tell you, if you're a listing agent, be very careful how you do things nowadays, because buyers agents are so wound up right now and so aggravated that they're looking to get you in trouble for just about anything. I had one of our new agents take her first listing the other day, and literally she was almost in tears because this one agent continued to harass her even after she accepted an offer that wasn't even hers. It was someone else's offer. And this lady has just been a complete nightmare to deal with. She CC'd our state broker on every email from day one, making it seem like she did something wrong. She threatened her to report her to the commission for nothing. And it's very taxing. So just prepare yourself. If you're a listing agent, or if you're taking your first listing, period, there's going to be some crazies and wackos out there. I'm sure you guys have felt it. So if you've got a property that's hot, put it under attorney review, put it under contract as soon as you get that offer in, because the longer you leave it out there, the longer you expose yourself to people who are just going through a tough time, I should say. Has anyone experienced that?
I actually experienced that. I think it was last year though.
Okay.
I had a hot property in Maplewood. It was a 2-family. And I had a lot of offers, and one agent, thank God for Jesus, because I ain't the old Tammy. One agent was blacking out on me. She was like, I'm going to report you. Why wasn't my offer accepted? And my husband kind of heard her yelling at me, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, you just gonna let her yell at you? I said, I don't care about her yelling at me. That's her issue. That's her problem.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have tough skin, yes, it's very intimidating, because they will, try to make you feel like you're doing something wrong.
Exactly.
I unfortunately became that angry buyer's agent last week on a house where it was like highest and best is due and this and that, and the agent was just not communicating with me whatsoever. And I'm like, every time I called her, she's sending me a voicemail. And then I text her like at 7 p.m. I'm like, you ever pick up your phone? And she responds back, wow. So when she responded back with wow, like I pulled up her license information because she sounded like my daughters respond to me like, wow, dad. Like, and when I finally got her on the phone, she's like, how can I help you? And at that point I was like, I can't believe you just responded with that. You know why I'm calling. Should I call your manager tomorrow morning or can we have the conversation right now? And then she was willing to talk.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I could see why. I mean, yeah, so obviously some listing agents obviously don't do what they're supposed to do either. But you know, obviously, if you're not doing anything wrong, there's nothing you should worry about. I know that some of us lose sleep over things that we don't do wrong. But as long as you know you've done everything right, you've checked every box, you've even. I have a lot of agents who are experienced who still call me to ask me if they did everything right, just to make sure that they're not, you know, in the wrong. So if you guys ever have that, you know, reach out to anyone on this call. Reach out to me. Obviously, you can always reach out to the state brokers if you have issues, but you know, just cover your butt. You know, that's really the only thing I can tell you right now in this market, because you don't want to get caught up with somebody who's losing it, you know, and it's not worth it. The better you do in this business, guys, I'll tell you this much: the better you do, the more money you make, the more of a target you become. So that just comes along with the territory. If you haven't been taken to the commission yet, if you haven't been sued yet, it's just because you haven't been in the business long enough. Okay, so don't get scared if that ever happens to you, because as long as you know you did everything right, there's nothing to worry about.
Every time I get my offer declined,
Yeah.
I send a message to the listing agent. I say, thank you so much for presenting my offer. And I know at the end of the day, it's not your decision and it's the seller's decision. And I say, and that's it.
Amazing.
Because you never know, you know, we will run into each other's again.
Yeah. You guys want to hear something crazy? Every time that I would have this girl, her name, I think it was Rosmina Desa, I think it was. If I'm not, you guys might know her. Every time she would show one of my listings, she would send me a thank you card. Can you believe that?
That's so sweet.
Yeah, she would send a small little thank you card. And I was like so impressed by that. Now, this girl, she's playing the long game. That's not like, oh, let me send thank you cards. Now, you know, I'll get every one of my listings, like one of my offers accepted. But don't you think that next time I get an offer from her and it's a multiple highest and best situation, and I get an offer from her, I'm going to treat her as she was like, yeah.
Kindness can take you so far.
Oh yeah, of course. So I mean, that's the kind of agent that you want to work with. But if you black out on someone and you guys cross paths again, you know, you burn the bridge. Basically, you burn the bridge. Sorry, Chris.
Alejandro's vacuuming. I think Alejandro's vacuuming.
Drilling something. I don't know.
I think he's drilling.
Alejandro.
There's
Is
some
he
construction or
vacuuming?
something.
Chris had just came back from powerlifting. That's why he was all pumped up and he yelled at this lady.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a rough day. And, you know, my client, of course, called me throughout the day. Do we have an answer? Do we have an answer?
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, guys, I'm losing clients left and right now, and I'm not even taking it personally. There's nothing I can do. As long as you know you're trying your best, you know, there will be more. There'll always be more. In the future, there'll always be more business. It's just that right now, if you've done everything you can, your hands are tied, you made the phone calls, you try to build the relationships, you made the offers. I had a lady call me from a development where she gets a lot of listings. My clients love it. It's a 55 and older community, it's a golfing community. They love it, absolutely love it. And they didn't get their offer accepted. They were cash above asking. So the lady calls me back a couple of weeks later. She's like, hey, listen, I know you made an offer on my one listing, but I'm getting a new one. I'm not even going to put it on the market. Would you like to show it to your clients? I said, absolutely. I was like, my clients are not even here. They're in Orlando for the weekend, but I'll come and look at it and I'll FaceTime them. Okay, perfect. So I go there, do everything I had to do. And then I write up an offer above asking again, send it to her. And what does she do? She gives the property to someone else again. And I'm like, you know what? You just can't keep doing this. I'm like, and I apologize to them so much because I told them the house is not even on the market. We have a really good chance at this. And they're getting their hopes up because they really want to live there. And then, you know, you burn these people out. It's just so frustrating. And I can understand their position. You know, they don't know. They don't do this for a living. They just know that they're not getting the house they want. So it's happening. It's happening everywhere. It's happening to everyone.
Yes.
Louis, can
I need your opinion.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry,
Yeah, go
Chris.
Sarah and then Chris.
Okay, so I need your opinion about something. I got a letter prepared.
Yeah.
And I'm sending it to the people that live on my street.
Yes.
So I got 30 letters ready, just letting them know that I live in your neighborhood. I didn't give my home address. I just said what street I live on.
Yes.
Let them know that I'm a realtor, and if they're interested to sell their home, or if they know somebody else that's thinking about selling their home. What do you think about that? Are they
It's a
gonna
good
be mad at me, my neighbors?
Not at all. Why would they? Would you be mad if one of your neighbors sent you a letter?
No.
Yeah, then no, I don't think it's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find inventory. I'm getting desperate right now.
And send your business card with a magnetic thing on the back, because people are usually not ready to sell right then and there. But if you have a magnetic card, for some reason they tend to put that on the refrigerator.
Ooh, I only have just the cardboard.
No, you can go to
card, like-
Staples and get the magnetics and put them on the back of your business cards.
And you could go to
Oh.
Walmart. Walmart has just a little package that you just rip the tape off and stick the magnet on the back.
Exactly.
Oh,
You
that's
just
a
hit-
smart idea. Oh my God, thank you so much, guys.
yeah, there you go. You got your value for the day for being on the call.
Thank you. Oh, always, always. Oh my God, you're the king.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. We appreciate you very much. Anyone else want to share a trend? And I'll let Chris kind of close us out.
And I wanted to share a trend that I think
Go for it.
is definitely popping up here in New Jersey now that the government moratoriums have been uplifted and the banks are now finally foreclosing again. The courts are they're seeing the eviction cases again. So I believe that there is a phantom market that really hasn't been spoken about in these past couple of years. It's just been this buying frenzy going on, multiple offers, shortage of inventory. But this phantom market that really hasn't been spoken about is that there are a lot of families out there that have had financial hardship due to the pandemic. They've taken those government forbearance programs, which have all come to an end, and now it's time to pay the mortgages, and they don't have the ability to do so. So we're going to begin to see a lot of foreclosures again. So I think that raises an opportunity for anybody who wants to get involved in specializing in that type of market. I think sellers are, there's going to be a need for short sales for us as real estate professionals to bring that awareness to the community that, hey, you can avoid the foreclosure. Let's do a short sale. I just think that that's a trend that's definitely going to present itself this year, 2022.
Oh, I can't wait. Because that's the juiciest market, guys. You can make millions, literally, I'm not even exaggerating. You can make millions in that market.
By the way, Louis, on January, 2 weeks ago, we got awarded our first bid at the sheriff's sale for 2022.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah. So yeah, they're happening again. They're happening.
That's great, man. Did you get a good deal?
That was
hope
my
so.
question. What was the price point?
217 in Morris County, Mount Arlington, which is I think it's difficult to find anything for 250.
With a
250
two?
is like a condo. So this is a 3-bedroom ranch.
Yeah.
I think the first right of redemption day is up today. We can make final payment to the sheriff. It is occupied, so I've got to go about that whole process of approaching them and hopefully have a voluntary removal as opposed to an involuntary removal. But yeah, we're in that. And another thing also, so we were talking about how the supply chain has been so challenging for contractors. I'm noticing that in Sussex County, New Jersey, the sheriff's sale list has a lot of the defendants are the names of LLCs, which points out that these are probably contractors or people who wanted to get involved in flipping real estate, and they got stuck. So these fix and flip loans that are typically due within a year or so, I think they're foreclosing on, and we're seeing a lot of these properties that are like halfway finished that are going off for sheriff's sale. That's another trend that we're going to see.
Yep, exactly. Hard money foreclosing.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, I'd like to add something. I've been on the sheriff sale as well. It been up since June of 2021. I just started going this this year. Yeah, I noticed that a lot of hard money lenders are foreclosing on the first time flippers and stuff like that because they can go like really fast. They can go in a year. The most two, they're gonna the property is gonna be back at the sheriff. I saw it plenty of times. Somebody overbidding, and then after a couple of months, maybe a year, they're back at the sheriff. So, but the thing about the forbearance, I don't think that's gonna affect anyone because I was a forbearance myself. But the bank will send a letter, we put it at the back of the 30-year loan. And that happens to everybody, all my family members, everybody took forbearance. That doesn't mean
Yeah,
you're gonna
but
lose
what
the
if, what if,
house.
that's good if you're working, but there's people out there that still don't have the income.
Yeah.
Chris, would you be willing to put your phone number in the chat? Would you mind if I called you later?
Yeah, sure. I'll put it in the chat for everybody.
Thank
If you don't follow me on IG, it's Homes by Christopher 1. We always do it like we doing it for TV, you know, that's how we do it around here.
Homes.Christopher what?
Number 1.
Thank you.
And I have a question of who, I'm not sure who is going to know it. In terms of the forbearance, was there paperwork involved to be able to have them just add it to your 30-year mortgage, put it on the end? Was that automatic?
Yeah, it's a new note.
It was a paperwork which I had to like notarize. But they send it to everybody. That's they don't even ask them like, hey, what option you had. They just send it to sign because I didn't even choose anything, and they just send it the thing to sign. And my aunt the same thing. All the people I know, they just put it at the end of the 30-year without asking any questions. Do you have a job or not? They didn't ask anything.
Okay, so Sarah wants to know, how do you get certified for foreclosures? Where do you take the classes? There are no certifications for foreclosures. You really just have to do the research on your own. Because there's different kinds of foreclosures. We have short sales, and then they are considered to be pre-foreclosures, and then you got foreclosure auction sales, and then you got post foreclosures, which are bank-owned properties. So depending on which of those you want to start to learn about, you would obviously have to, talk to the right people, look up the right videos, read the right books. But to be honest with you, it's different in every county. It's different in every state. So just make sure that you're, whatever it is you're going after, if you're going after short sales, you understand the laws of foreclosure in New Jersey. And then if you're going to the sheriff's sales, well, every county is going to be different. There's nuances for every single county. If I go to Morris County, Chris will be the one to tell you there's certain things that you can get away with that you can't get away with in Union County or Essex County.
Yeah.
Everyone is different. And then post foreclosures, which are bank-owned properties, REOs, well, those you might be able to get lucky and maybe score something on auction.com or maybe on Zoom or one of those other websites. But to be honest with you, those I don't see an uptick in those yet. I don't know if Chris has, but I really haven't seen too much of an uptick.
Thank you.
So I don't think I really answered your question, but to be an expert or to be certified, there is no class. You just got to really go after it yourself. And the more you look, the more you surround yourself around the people who are doing it, and the more you focus on that, the more you'll understand.
Hi guys, Ivania here.
Hey, Vanya.
There is a certification for REOs on EXP.
Nice.
So you can take the class and they certify you. And what they do is, as I haven't seen anything yet, but as you said, there's not many of them out there. But what they do is they have a contract with banks and they send agents leads. That's the way that it's supposed to work after you're certified.
Wow. Great advice.
Thank you.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
What's that called, Ivania? What's that?
It's EXP REO certification.
That's great.
Not sure when's the new one, but you can check the university calendar, and when they have it, they let us know. Also, let me find the name of the lady that runs the program, and you guys can message her on work chat. She's very responsive, very nice. I'm gonna find the name and put it on the chat.
It's amazing. Ivania, while you're on here, can you tell us about your lunch and learn that you're having in a couple weeks?
Yes, guys. So please save the date for February 11th. We're going to start at 2 p.m. It's kind of like a motivational. I have someone that works with Tony Robbins that is going to come and and do an event for us. And then Lewis is gonna do the EXP plain, the EXP explain part. So if you guys can come and support and bring somebody that you guys want to bring into your team, that would be great. The more the merrier. I will be sending the details. I'm working on a flyer, so as soon as I have it, I'll send it on the culture email.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank
Chris,
you.
do you want to quickly just kind of go over the buyer's agreement that you, how you
Can I,
explained?
can I share my screen?
Yeah, you can go to the bottom of your Zoom screen here and just hit share screen.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so this is the standard New Jersey standard form of buyer agency agreement, which it's been the same, I guess, since I've gotten into the business. There hasn't been any changes to it. So real quick, you know, the agency, the buyer's information, the areas in which you're going to be concentrating on, you know, helping that buyer. Number two, do they currently have a relationship with another broker? Then this is where you'll put your information, your brokerage information, you'll disclose your relationship with them, term of the agreement. But typically I leave that kind of open based on what their needs are. And then this is the big one here, number 5. So this section 5 here, so in consideration of the services rendered by buyer's agent on behalf of buyer agrees to pay the buyer's agent a brokerage fee of, and this is where I would fill in 3.5%. Okay. Then the brokerage fee shall be earned due and payable by the buyer to the buyer's agent if any property is introduced by buyer's agent to buyer during the term of this agreement, or within X amount of days of the termination of the agreement. So that's, you know, you kind of leave that open, right? I typically will tell them, look, if you guys decide not to buy a house, you don't owe me anything. I just ask that you come back to me when you do. Now, this is the part here which expresses that that fee that is due to you as the buyer's agent can be offset by what the list broker is paying out. However, except where a buyer's agent, full agent, it's not the right sentence. Here it is. If the seller of such property authorizes the listing broker to pay a portion of the listing brokerage fee to the buyer's agent, that portion of such brokerage fee shall be credited against the buyer's obligation. So what does that mean, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? Well, in some situations, the amount that the seller is paying out to a buyer's agent may be 2.5%. And if that's the case, well, there's a 1% deficiency in your fee. Now, I'm not asking that you pay that difference at closing. I'm simply asking that you give me the opportunity to request that the seller pay my full fee. Is that okay with you? I always say, yeah, that's fine. Now, I'm going to pause there for a moment. If I'm working with an investor client, right, and you think an investor is going to have a problem with paying you the deficiency in the fee, if you're giving him an opportunity and he's going to be awarded a property where he's going to maybe profit $30, $40, $50,000, a real investor is not going to have a problem paying you an additional 1% to complete your total fee if you're going to get him the deal, right? So I don't leave that up for negotiation if I'm the buyer's agent representing an investor on a listing that's not mine and we're going to win the deal. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you a couple of examples. For example, this one here, this is the listing that Weichert had. And as you can see there, Weichert was paying out 2.5% minus a $65 MLS fee. This is a copy of the commission check, 8432. And this is the real estate contract. You see right here, commission, I put 3.5% minus $65. Okay. And the offer was accepted, fully executed. I think I have a copy. I don't have a copy of the HUD there. So, so this is an example of where I got the 3.5%.
Chris, can I stop you there for a second? So what you
Yeah,
did,
sure.
you got the seller to pay you 3.5% as opposed to what it was advertised for. What was the commission that was advertised? 2.5 or 3?
It was 2.5%.
So you got the seller to pay an additional 1%. Now, obviously, there was some pushback from the listing agent. What did they
Right.
say to you, and how did you defend that?
So typically the pushback is, you know, hey, Chris, I got your contract, but you know, you've got 3.5. I'm sorry, let me pause for a moment. When I present the offer in the email, I will break down, I'll talk a little bit about the buyer. My buyer is very well qualified. I know the mortgage rep, been dealing with it for many years. My clients are signed up to a buyer agency agreement that stipulates that I earn 3.5% of the sales price. And in the event that there is a deficiency in my fee from what's being paid out by the seller, I'm authorized to request the seller pay my full fee. So the contract that's being presented here is for to your seller $197,000. However, the contract reflects 198,000. However, the contract reflects 200,000 because it includes my 1% deficiency in my fee. And I'm just using that number 200,000 because it's a simple example to utilize. So this is how I put the email together. Now, some agents will just go ahead and present it just like that. The listing agents that did give you some pushback, they'd call me up and they'd be like, Chris, you know, my seller's not going to pay you 3.5%. And I'm like, okay, I understand, but you know, I'm authorized to request it on behalf of my client. They'll say, no, your client has to pay the deficiency in your fee. I said, I'll ask my buyer if they're willing to do that. Do you have a counter offer for me? And then they'll say, yeah, the seller wants, in an example, $198,000. Okay, perfect. I'll go back to my buyer and I'll say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we've got a counter offer. Now, they don't want to pay the deficiency in the fee. Okay, they're countering at 198. Now, in order for you to not be responsible to pay the deficiency at closing directly to me, you're okay. I can go back with 200,000, ask that the seller pay my full fee. That way they'll get their 198, and then we'll probably make the deal that way. The buyers will be like, okay, Chris, that's fine, go ahead. And then I'll go back to the listing agent. Hey, I got good news. I got your seller the 190. So I'm always working on the amount that the seller wants and trying to add the fee on top.
Yeah, you're working on the net, because what does it matter to the seller as long as they net what they want to net?
Exactly, correct.
Have you ever come across the issue where the listing agent might say, well, what if it doesn't appraise? Then are you going to lower your commission?
Yeah, there's been times like that. And at that point, I would say to them, yeah, if there's a situation, I have no problem, you know, reducing my commissions.
Okay.
So, you know, it's an uncomfortable conversation at the beginning. The way I would put the email together, and I don't know if I have an example of it here, but maybe what I could do is like put a little package together, send it to like the group email, just with a couple examples of how I present the offer in an email, in the body of the email, because that really helps for the listing agent to understand exactly, you know, what I'm trying to negotiate.
Correct. Okay, good. That's awesome. That's really.
Question.
Do you guys? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you guys have questions, or you guys?
Definitely. Have you used this during pandemic at all? Because I assume that this was before
Yeah.
pandemic.
Right. So I had mentioned that in our last Monday's calls. Like, you know, I haven't even brought this up because, you know, I don't want to limit my ability of competing when I've got like 10 other offers and they're all over asking price. And then here's Chris Slade asking for an additional 1%. However, with the response that Lewis gave me, you know, the answer is always no if you don't ask, right? So it's a paradigm shift. There might be an ability for me to get that. Now, maybe not necessarily in a multiple offer situation, right? I can try, and I dedicated to myself that I'm gonna try. However, there's a couple listings out there that are starting to linger, or they're coming back on the market. And if I'm noticing that it's been on the market for like 60, 90 days and it hasn't sold yet, and they might have experienced a multiple offer in the beginning, but then, you know, the house has come back on the market. I think that's the perfect opportunity to come in, very well qualified buyer, a good purchase contract, and try to get that deficiency in my.
Of course.
So I like to add something. I did use about 2 months ago. I closed on a property with the buyer's agreement. I'll be flipping in South Jersey, very cheap property. So I'll be getting like buyers, but I didn't want to show him a $60,000-$70,000 home. We're not gonna make, you know, less than 1,500 for the commission. So I'm like, I'm not showing those to like a regular buyer, right? But then I came out to, well, if the property is less than 200 and they up to it, I just tell them it's a 5,000 broker fee to show the property since it's too far. And you know, one of them agreed, and we closed on it. It was like the property was like 150. The commission was like 3,500 plus the 5,000, and that actually helped me to negotiate after repairs because the deal looked like it was gonna fall off because of $500. I was sticking around my commission with plenty of it. So you know, so I saved the deal, closed the thing, and buyer happy, seller happy, everybody happy.
Now, if I was in a situation where the seller did not want to pay the deficiency in my fee, and I went back and made a business decision that I'm going to ask that the buyer pay the deficiency in my fee, when I circulate the fully executed contract and I send it to the mortgage company, I need to send my buyer agency agreement alongside with it and disclose to the mortgage company that there's going to be a 1% fee that I'm collecting from the buyer, so that when they disclose the loan, my 1% is on there immediately. I mean, the buyer knows, you need to let the banks know, because I've learned the hard way where I was collecting the 1% from the buyer. I didn't circulate my buyer agency agreement to the mortgage company. Finally, the day of closing, I send my commission bill to the seller to collect 2.5%. And then I would send my commission bill to the buyer's attorney to collect the 1%. And then the mortgage company would be like, sorry, Chris, we can't put that on the HUD. We already disclosed the loan. So I've learned the hard way. You've got to circulate it immediately with the sales contract.
Thank you so much.
That was great information. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
Yeah. All right. Let me just add this because time is getting kind of late right now. I'm not sure if there's anyone on the call who has invited someone else, if they want to kind of introduce them to the team. Also, if you guys are here from the meetup link, if you guys want to talk more about how you can work closely with us on our real estate team, our national real estate team, you guys could always message me directly after we're done here, either on Meetup or on my email, lewis@culture.estate. I'll leave it in the chat. There are a few of you who are not in our email, are not in our Culture Estate email group. If you are not, you can also leave your email addresses in the chat and I'll add you guys. I just added a few people who are not on it currently right now, just a few seconds ago. So you can expect to be on it now. And yeah, we'll close out with a prayer. But anyone here want to introduce themselves or introduce someone else that they invited to the call?
I'll introduce my two amigas. I have two friends on the call, Rose Simoes. She lives in, remind me, Rose, but she lives in the north. And we met because
I live in Central Jersey.
Oh, Central, sorry. And yeah, we just met through being friends with EXP. And, you know, because I learned so much here, I invited her to come, and same with Amanda Kisanak. They're both amazing EXP agents, newer like myself, and we're all going to kill it together. We have an accountability meeting. So if anyone's interested in joining, just let us know.
Nice. Girl power.
Hey, it's Amanda. I don't have my video on right now, but I figured I should introduce myself with at least my voice.
Thank you, Amanda. How did you find it?
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was really great. And what did you say the email was all about?
Oh, our email group is just whenever we have these meetings or we have any information that we want to share with each other, we just use the email crew@culture.estate. Let me just leave it here in case you guys ever want to share some important information. Obviously, no spamming, just obviously information that is important for us. I usually tend to share the live recordings from here. And I also give you guys reminders when we're having the meetings, and just in case you guys might forget. You'll also get a calendar invite to the meetings that we have. So you'll also see that being added. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just added it only to, sorry. I only just shared that information with one person. Let me share that with everyone. Yeah, so if you want to be a part of that, just leave your email in the chat and I'll add everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.
Culture, and then one more email, which is mine. All right, cool. Yeah, with that being said, thank you everyone for being on the call. We had a great meeting today, good turnout. Everyone here was played a good part. Everyone was very interactive, so I appreciate that. And I get a lot of information from these, so I hope that you guys do as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and close.
I just want to add one thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Last week I was multitasking and you guys was asking me to put the link in the chat for Calendly.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a chance to, so I just put it in there.
Okay.
Yes, yay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool. Great. That's awesome. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and close out, guys, real quick with yeah, there she is. That we had a Calendly for Tammy. So anyone want to reach out to her, go right ahead. You can see how her Calendly is set up. If you guys are new on this call, last week Tammy said that her Calendly screens her buyers before she calls them. So it's a series of questions that she asks them. So if you guys are curious to see how she does it, go ahead and use the link in the chat.
Louis, before you close out, my friend Luz is here. I didn't know it was the iPhone, but now that she texted, I see her email. Luz, I'm going to introduce you. So Luz is with a small brokerage company and has been killing it on the buyer side. She is growing, and I invited her to the meeting. So I'm excited that she's here and she was able to get some knowledge. Luz, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Vanya. Hi, everybody. Yes, I appreciate you for inviting me. It's been really great to hear you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys, all of you. Also, one last thing I almost forgot. Tabby is doing a lunch and learn. It's a brunch and, what is it called? A brunch and learn? No, brunch.
It's a Galentine's Brunch and Earn. And the only reason I did announce it to all my friends here, guys, is because I'm trying to put a twist on the normal lunch and learn. I'm making it a little bit different, and I'll share with you guys how it goes, but I'm only inviting 10 ladies. I'm focusing on one brokerage, and they're basically going to be kind of wined and dined and pampered with some surprises, but also, of course, there'll be a few presentations, and the theme is self-love and wealth.
Yeah.
So I'll let you guys know how it goes.
Well, even though guys are disqualified and some of you ladies are probably not going to be able to go, it just gives you guys a little bit of added motivation, knowing that, people are doing these things. So if you guys want to do one of your own, please reach out to anyone here who's doing one, or reach out to myself and we'll give you some more guidance.
Always happy to help, guys. So you can
Awesome.
reach me on IG. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's go ahead and close out. Dear Lord, Father, we thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here in such an amazing dynamic group. Father, we ask you to always bless us with wisdom and give us the foresight, Father, to act on all the lessons that we've learned today. Give us the ability to always improve our lives, and give us patience, Father, and also allow us to bless those people around us, not only with financial freedom, Father, but also with love and with respect. Allow us to be able to grow as individuals so we can obviously shine that light onto others around us. We ask you, Father, to keep us healthy and safe until we meet here once again next week. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing day. Amazing week.
Everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.